Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day you've provided for us, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for the audience we have here today, the participants. Lord, be with us as we go through these procedures. Help us, Lord, make good decisions. Be with us, Lord, as we go through our holidays this weekend. Just guide and protect us and give us your love, Lord. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
Jack Baker,
Here.
Carrie Allen Ross, Honey, Bill England,
Here.
Bill John Baker,
Here.
Harley Buzzard,
Here.
Juliet Coates, here, Bradley Cobb, Joe Crittenden, Jody Fishingham, here, Meredith Braley, here, Janelle Fulbright, John Garvin, Chuck Hoskin Jr., Simon Glory Jordan, Curtis Snell,
Sure.
Chris Soap,
Here.
David Thornton. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion for the approval of our minutes of our July 31st regular session, July 31st tax subcommittee. And this includes all 4 meetings.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. I would like to introduce Agent Edgar Catuya, who's from the U.S. Border Patrol, the recruitment office from Marfa, Texas, who's setting up a recruitment table at the complex for the next couple of days. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity for letting me come over here to the Talking Leaves Job Corps, over to the Cherokee Nation and go into the Talking Leaves Job Corps School, along to also with the Sequoia School, and letting us recruit high schoolers, seniors, and also juniors into a career with the U.S. Border Patrol as a Border Patrol agent. Right now, we're trying to hire a total of 6,000 agents throughout anywhere between San Diego, California to Brownsville, Texas. We're trying to diversify the U.S. Border Patrol, and that is into bringing a lot of minorities into the U.S. Border Patrol. And over where I'm from, in Marfa sector, Marfa, Texas, we're the first sector in the U.S. Border Patrol to start an initiative of hiring Native Americans into the U.S. Border Patrol as Border Patrol agents. And I really want to appreciate me coming over here and letting me and the other recruiters coming to your nation so we can recruit applicants, potential Border Patrol agents. I've never felt any more welcome, and we've been to other nations throughout Oklahoma, and I'm real grateful, for the welcome and the warm welcome that the Cherokee Nation has given us through the Talking Leaves Job Corps, Mr. Legg. So thank you very much. We're going to be tomorrow and Saturday at the complex. We're going to have a table with literature for those who may be interested in a career with the Border Patrol. And we'll even be taking applications also. So we'll be there all day tomorrow and the day after. We'll even be on the parade, and for that I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate your being here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for allowing
If our
me.
council people has anyone that wants to apply to I didn't say council people.
Well, 2 of them could.
Yeah, that's true. We could.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, next are our reports. Our financial report, treasurer's report, Ms. Catcher.
Good afternoon. You should have my written report. I did get a request to discuss our mileage reimbursement process. We had some questions from some of the council members over the last couple of weeks. Cherokee Nation reimburses employees for personal use of their vehicle if it's used for tribal business. And our policy stated that you turned in a local travel statement with the beginning odometer and the ending odometer, which is what we've had in place for years. Counselor Hoskin actually pointed out the obvious. One of the tools we have today is MapQuest, Google. So for those standard trips where you're going from Tahlequah, Oklahoma to Catoosa, you can just give us the MapQuest mileage, and we're not going to require the beginning and ending odometer. The reason we have this policy is twofold, basically. Most of our funding does have some federal ties, so we need to make sure we're accounting for it properly. And then the second reason is if you don't have what's called an accountable plan, this becomes taxable income to the employees for mileage reimbursement. So as long as you have a system that you make the employee account for why they're getting the mileage reimbursement, it's not taxable income. So, if anybody has any questions, I would be happy to try to answer them.
I just want to express appreciation for how quickly you looked into the issue, and I appreciate that. And I think it probably lessened the burden on employees overall just a tiny bit, so, and on staff too. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Ms. Kay? Ms. Fisher?
Yeah, is the landfill going to be back in our budget this year?
It is not my intent to have it back in here.
So it's not been,
We
don't
have
to pay for it anymore.
We have executed agreements with CDE, which were effective July 1st. They started paying the bills July 1st, so.
Okay, can you give us a statement or tell me how much it cost us from October 1st of last year when the new budget went into effect?
Yeah, I will get you a statement for, would you like that prior to the next meeting or
No,
after?
I want to.
Okay. I will send that out to you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Kay. Next is Cherokee Nation Enterprises, Sean Slade.
Good afternoon, Council. Dave hustled back to Catoosa, and he and Guy are working on a little project up there today, and they asked me to fill in. Kind of go over a financial statement last month. It was another great month for the company, considering especially what's going on in some other areas of the nation in the industry. We continue to see no downturn, and in fact, stronger earnings and customer visits than we ever had. We were actually up about $1 million over last July. So things continue to look good and look strong there. And our Cherokee employment is holding right at the 60% mark, 59.6. And we continue to work hard to improve that. I believe Wednesday, Brent Thompson at Catoosa has invited the council to come up and go over his HR recruiting plan for the upcoming expansions and get your thoughts and ideas on maybe how to improve that. And we look forward to having you there on Wednesday. Construction-wise, I just came back from Siloam this morning. That property continues to move at a rapid pace. They're beginning the outside finishes on that. It's a three-color exterior finish on the EFS. Really looks good. The first two coats are on the east and beginning on the south side. Inside, they put the raised floor down to bring our machines in, and I believe they're going to try to turn that building over to us on October 15th. That'll give us 3 weeks to get moved in and turn everything on and practice what we call simulation. And we anticipate opening those doors November the 10th. It'll be a soft opening. It won't be really advertised. And our goal is to make sure things are rocking and rolling over there in time for the holidays, especially Thanksgiving. Once that's done, we'll begin a month-long teardown of the existing casino. Construction will then begin on phase 2. Hopefully that's completed by the end of May, as well as our hotel. So things are moving along really quickly over there. When we begin the demolition of the existing casino, we'll take out what we need to operate in our other facility. And then we'll ask Gino Elia to get with the nation and see if there are any communities that might have an interest in some of the things that we don't have, like we've done in some of our other buildings. So if you've got some community outreach programs that might, benefit from toilets and maybe some kitchenware and things like that, I'm working with Janelle on an issue, then let me know, and I'll try to direct traffic on that to the right person that might be able to help there. Catoosa, up on the 19th floor, we've topped that out. They're working on the electrical and plumbing. Things are moving along quickly, and that will open December the 15th, and that will be the casino part. The hotel will open in Convention Center at the end of March. Toby's at the end of April, and then the event center closer to August. So things are moving fast. We finished we're almost finished with the hangar here at Tahlequah, and then in the cultural tourism department, we're working on the Supreme Court building. We did have an asbestos issue there. We're working to resolve that, as well as some lead paint issues. And once those are in hand and handled, then we'll begin to do the restoration of that. If there are any questions at all, I'll try to help answer that.
Yes.
Sling Courthouse, could you or one of the tourism people give us a report on that, of what we're doing and where we are on that particular project?
Sure.
That has been an ongoing process that I know for the last 10 years, and it's just one of those that's deteriorating every day and every day and every day. It's getting worse and worse, and if we don't do something to prop it up, it's going to be gone. And then but I would like to have a report if you would.
I don't know the particular schedule. I know it's on there, and we'll get with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. The other issue I'd like to readdress and just keep everybody apprised on is the situation between the town of West Siloam and the city of Siloam. That continues to be a problem. It's probably not going to get better. It's probably going to get uglier. I appreciate the nation's help. Diane Kelly and her group have been instrumental in trying to help resolve those issues and bring some pressure from the state of Oklahoma. And I think we're beginning to see all the forces unite to apply that. But don't be surprised if you're not reading about that one of these days soon. So, our desire would be to work out an acceptable, fair agreement for everyone, but you have to have two parties, in this case 3, willing for that to happen.
Any other questions from Mr. Slade?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is Cherokee Nation Industries, Dennis McElroy.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
You sent a report over for June, and then I also sent one for July. And July is most current. I'm going to go over the details of that, or not the details, but the summary of it. At the end of July, we had $7.2 million in cash, $13 million of accounts receivable, $10 million of accounts payable, and equity of $21.5 million. For the 10 months ending in July 31st, we had $69 million worth of sales, and we had an operating loss of $1.9 million. Month of July, we had $7.5 million in sales and a loss of $300,000.
When do you see that trend turning around? I mean, we forgave $14 million in debt so that you didn't have to be paying that interest. Right. And when's it going to look better?
Our budget for next year, we're showing a turnaround there.
I mean, you can't stand any $300,000 money.
Oh, that's true. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Do you have anything further? No. Okay, thanks very much.
One other thing.
Oh, excuse me.
Are we paying too much, or are we selling too cheap?
I really couldn't answer that. We have several different businesses. Some of them are making money, some of them aren't making near as much, some are losing money. So,
Well, the docs are making money.
the staffing is making money, yes.
Yeah. I think that's only place.
And the telecommunications, we're making some money there, but it's softening it up, because of the economy.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you.
Next is Cherokee Nation Businesses, Ed Rice.
Mr. Carson is in Denver at the Democratic National Convention, asked me to stand in. Currently have 2 acquisitions in process. I don't have a lot of the details for you. He will be back, and I'd be happy to answer all your questions. Are there any questions for CMB?
Questions for Mr. Rice? Mr. Baker.
Matt, ask Mr. Carson if CNB is looking at CNI's financials, if they roll up under them. And I'd like to visit with him about it.
Will do. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, Ms. Fishing.
Yeah, Facet, can you talk to us about Facet for a minute?
Excuse me?
Can you talk to us about Facet for a minute?
Facet.
Facet.
I'm not familiar with Facet.
They want us to build a building on our land out there at the industrial Cherokee Nation industrial park south of Stillwater.
I have not looked at the numbers. I have not done anything with Facet.
Could you have Mr. Carson get back with us?
Facet, yes, I will. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Rice.
Thank you.
Next is Career Services. Ms. Kelly.
Yes. I'll take one and pass them around.
How are you?
I'm good.
So it's not paying attention.
I can't do a marathon, but I tell you what, give me a few weeks and I will. I'm going to tell you something real exciting that we're doing. You have our report, but one of the things that I think some of you all had asked, and we're doing it through our strategic initiatives, but our Career Services Department through Brenda Fitzgerald and Dr. Neil Morton, Janice Grogan, our Higher Ed Department will. Brenda and Janice and Rita and I met, it's been several weeks back, and we're going to attempt to do something that we've never done before, and we want to encourage you and invite you to come out and be a part of it, but we're going to go out to some football games. We're not going to go to all the 14 counties. We're not going to go to every high school because we don't have enough money to do that. But we're going to try this. Well, let us try it and see how it works first. And if it works, we may come back next year and say, we want you to buy some footballs. But we're going to hit about 5 different schools, and really we're going to end up hitting 10 schools. Because whoever's visiting that school that night, we'll get to go on that side and give them footballs. But we've got these footballs that say, Higher Education's got our telephone number and everything on it. We're going to go out and we're going to put some tents up. We bought some tents. We're going to put these up, put tables up. There'll be a table for higher ed. There'll be a table for vocational. We're going to have information out there for the parents and the students to partake so that in the spring, we won't be caught with them not coming in. We'll have already gone out and got some information out there to let them know about scholarships and what's available through the Cherokee Nation if they're a tribal member. And we're also going to have just a table just for resource information. So if Brian's still recruiting at CNI or CNE still recruiting at their place, well, they can put some general information out there. So it's going to be Cherokee night at these football games, and we have the schedules. And I would ask that you look at the second page because I got that email from Janice just as I was leaving. So there's one that's still not actually confirmed, but they're working on it. And if you see Brenda or Janice, give them a call. If you see your school in your district, if you want to come out there and be a part of it, what we'll do is we'll have the commentator at the football game announce that Joe Crittenton and Chris Soap are here at the ball game, and it's Cherokee Nation night. We will set up before the gates open so that we can be there as people are passing by. We'll be there through the first quarter and the second quarter, and then at halftime, we're going to ask that they announce that we're still there, and we'll be there through the halftime. And when halftime's over with, we'll take our tents down and all of our stuff, and we'll go home. Now, we will have a few little door prizes. I think we're going to have some T-shirts and some sweatshirts that we'll give out as the weather starts getting colder. But we're going to try this and see how it works. And we get a lot of feedback from this, then we know that we can do this and go to other schools next year. And eventually, one of these days, maybe we can hit them all. But right now, we're just trying it to see how it works, and we would encourage you to come out there and be with us. And there's a big crowd in a lot of these local towns. That's where everybody's going to be on Friday night. And if you want to get out there and shake hands, this is the place to be. So we encourage you to come out. There's something else that I want to share with you. Some of you all had called us, and I think you've called Vivian at C&E. There's going to be a presentation at Northeastern on September 3rd, and we're participating with them at Northeastern as far as helping to recruit for C&E. And then we're also going to go out to all of the field clinics. Melissa's going to let us come and piggyback at the clinics. We're going to go out to help develop our job bank, and Vivian's going to be out there recruiting for C&E. We encourage C&I to go out there with us, Brian. We'll get the schedule to you. We're also going to be participating with Brent and his staff at the presentation on September 3rd up at the casino that they're presenting to you. I know that there has been some discussion about the application process. Mr. Buzzard and Ms. Fishenhawk, I think you two in particular had called us. It's not that our computers in our field office are slow, but what it is there is a time limit on the amount of time that you can get into the website when you're putting the application process in for C&E, and Vivian told me that it was 20 minutes. And a lot of our people get on that computer and they're not familiar with it, so it takes them a little bit longer to get in, and by the time they figure out how to do it, guess what? They're wiped out. They have to start all over. So then they get frustrated. So what we're doing is Vivian is going to come out and she's going to work with all of my staff and every one of my field offices. We will have paper applications for those people that feel more comfortable filling them out by paper. There'll be someone there in our office that will fax that in, and Vivian assured me as soon as it was faxed in that there would be somebody on the other end at C&E that would be putting it in the system. And then there will be some follow back from our office so that they will know that that application has been accepted. And hopefully this will help with some of those people that you all are referring in, and hopefully we'll be able to assist them, because I've got people in my office that can use the computer fairly well and they can help them, but there's others that may be a little slower, and some of the people would prefer to fill out their own application, and we understand that. So we'll be able to assist them. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Diane, on the summer youth employment program, are we able to keep some of those children or young people over to be employed in the fall?
No, the summer youth program ended. It's an 8-week summer program, so the summer youth program is completely over with. If there was college students or high school seniors that were in kind of a hardship that had a need, if they came back in and talked to their counselor, some of them were put on for the fall for maybe 10 hours a day or whatever their schedule would allow, but not all of them. We just had a few that came in that were in that need, and that's with our 102-477 program, not through tribal funds.
Okay.
Because tribal funds was strictly for summer youth.
Okay. Is there a way that possibly we could consider, and I guess we could in our budget process, maybe using some tribal funds to extend the length of time for that type of program? It might not be called a summer youth program. We might have to call it something else.
We can check and see how much is in that budget, if there was any left over time. I'm not real sure, but we can
Would you check?
Yeah, we can.
What I'm hearing from the community is that we have a number of young, good people that were on the summer youth program that really are in need of continuing, at least on a smaller scale, some hours every week. So, I mean, times are so hard in our communities that's making the difference between making and breaking those families.
What we can do is we can go back and look and see what the wording was on that appropriation. If it just said youth, but if it said specifically summer youth, then we'll have to go back and change the wording on it to be legal.
Could you assist us with that? Because I don't know if you found it in your communities, but certainly in this community, the economy is starting to really turn here.
Okay.
And it's really hitting those families, and that little sum of money was actually making or breaking those families. And if we could continue that on some scale.
Do you want me to wait till the next executive finance, or do you want me to report on it at the education committee meeting, which hits in 2 weeks?
Could you report on it at education? I think it's a very important program that's making a difference in our communities right now.
Okay.
With everything else that's going on in the economy, they need that little dab of money, especially these kids that are going into their sophomore, junior, and senior years where their activities are costing a lot more. If they could get 10 or 12 hours a week through us, it would make all the difference in the world to the quality of that year for them.
Okay, we can look into that. No problem.
Councilor Buster.
Are there any other questions?
Yes. Didn't think a little bit what I was going to ask, but Diane, can you just give a brief overview of what's happening over in the West Solomon Springs? And I'm talking about
Yes, I can.
the thing that we're proposing, the water line, the gas line,
yeah.
because it's going to affect some of the other county districts too. And I think it's important that they kind of know what we're doing with that.
I'm glad Sean brought this up because some of you guys may remember the big project that we worked on with the Votex here in Tahlequah up at West Salem. Well, this project right here has the potential to be just as big, if not bigger. In Oklahoma, there is 2 pots where there is no natural gas, and that's down in the western corner of the state, and it's up in the northeast corner. When you go into the northeast corner of the state of Oklahoma, there is no natural gas. There are pockets, but there is no consistent natural gas. There is very little water and sanitation and water lines up in those areas as well, and you're familiar with that. What has happened with AERT locating in Watts, they thought natural gas was there. It's not there. Well, with the casino, there is no natural gas, and they're looking to have to put their own tanks up there. Natural gas is about half the price of what propane is right now. And with that, they're running, Northeastern Oklahoma Gas Authority has been in contact with us. How in the world they got in touch with me, I don't know. But anyway, they're here in Tahlequah. Ralph Hanlon, who is the engineer, started working with us, Bill Langley over at the Sac Easy. And from there, Ralph started coming out to my office about every week, camping on my doorstep, working with my office to try to get a meeting set up. So we were able to get a meeting set up about 2 weeks ago. We weren't sure what the impact was going to be because we had a lot of players. We've got EODD, Grand Gateway, USDA. We've got mayors of Kansas, the mayor of West Salem, the mayor of Watts, the Northeastern Gas Authority, county commissioner from Delaware County, county commissioner from Adair County, the Sac Easy, Larry Adair was there representing them, as well as Bill. There's probably about 25 people packed into the West Salem Springs City Hall. And it was just the first meeting to see what the interest was, but we had all these stakeholders who are interested in building along that interstate route. And so they showed up there at the meeting. Sean was there representing C&E, Al Drinkwater representing AERT. We had people from the bakery there at Watts. Well, right now, Lynch Butler owns 156 chicken houses there at Chance, and they've already got the money and the commitment to run that gas line from Westville to Chance. Once it gets to Chance, they're going to need probably about $4 more million to run it all the way into Siloam Springs. They've got a commitment from ODOT to run those gas lines across that bridge. Of course, you know they're working on that 4-lane. And one of the reasons that we had this meeting was because that 4-lane, they're moving that highway. When they move that highway, you can go in there and dig those lines, and you work with those easements that the highway department has already got. So that way you wouldn't have to be out getting all the easements. So that's why we're trying to work in conjunction with the highway being built there. Once it gets to Siloam, then we're looking at the guy that's over the Flint Ridge Water District running those water lines into West Siloam Springs so that we have water and sewer capacity there. So What we did yesterday is we met at the Gas Authority. There was about 6 of us, and we started working to develop timelines on where these grants are going to come from. So Ed Crone and Joe Harrington were there, and they're going to go in and get a USDA, and so we're looking at some match dollars, and that's where Sean may come in with some of the match. Right now, your Northeastern Gas Authority Board consists of Dr. Don Betts, he's the chairman, Tim Fouch, who is one of the board members, and then the 3 mayors of Stillwell, Tahlequah, and Westville. And that's a trust authority that's been in operation through the Gas Authority out of Muskogee for about 20-something years. And they have the right-of-way to take that gas and move it all the way up through there. So we have a meeting tentatively set up for the 19th of September. There will be invitations going out. We are inviting the tribal council members from Delaware County, which would be you, Councilman Buzzard, and you, Mr. Snell, and Councilwoman Fishenhawk, and Councilmember Crittenton. And then we've also got State Senator Wilson that's hooked in with us on this as well, and Senator Wyrick from Delaware County. They're both fully aware of what's going on. They couldn't come because of other commitments, but they're working with us, and Ed Crone is working with us through USDA, and Bill Langley's working with us through Senator Inhoff's office, so to see if we can get some pilot money through USDA. Because this is a viable project. It's going to cost probably somewhere between maybe $10 to $12 million before it's all said and done. But look at the economic development, the number of jobs it's going to create, as well as tie-in lines on those surrounding areas to bring natural gas to that area up there. And Curtis, it's going to come right down the highway where you live, so it'll open the door for some businesses down the interstate. So the infrastructure will be there. So it's a real viable project. We're real excited about it.
You're bringing water with it too, right?
We're working on it. We're working on it. And Anna Knight in Commerce, Tom Elkins in Environmental, and Billy Hicks in Water and Sanitation are also partnering with us to do this. So Cherokee Nation is very actively involved. The chief is fully aware of our work on it. And I'm just organizing. I'm behind the scenes taking care of the notes and pushing them. That's all I do.
We appreciate that, Dr. Cobb.
First question, how much do you, I don't know if you have the figure, but to go to the football games, what was it? I noticed in the letter it said the marketing materials, that you were limited funds for other folks preventing, that's what it says.
Well, we're going to use what we have in our stash.
My next question is going to be, assuming we can find a reversal in those funds, would you consider doing some basketball games this winter?
Yeah, if this works out real well and we get the turnout, we'd be glad to.
We may have more people with basketball games in Bartlesville than we do football.
Okay. Yeah, we would entertain that.
The next thing is I noticed that they were having trouble getting a hold of for these football games, getting a return phone call from the principals of Locust Grove and Westville. So counselors in those districts might want to see if they can help you on that.
I'll have Brenda and Janice to get a hold of you all. Thank you.
All right.
Anything else?
Yes. The summer youth started off kind of slow. There was glitches and this, that, and the other. And we can discuss the possibility, if you had money left over, giving those kids that only got to work 6 weeks instead of 8 a bonus or something to try to help make them whole for that deal. Was anything done about that, or do we have funds to do it? Or
I don't know, Bill. I don't know exactly how much we have in there. I told Connie that I'd report on that at the education meeting and see.
Well, of course, I've heard about parents and folks for extended periods, but I'm talking about the kids that maybe were going off to college that were counting on 8 weeks of summer youth that only, pulled their heel for 2 weeks and ended up getting 6 weeks.
Okay. I will tell you that we met with Callie, and Callie and her staff were very helpful. Hopefully this time next year we won't be caught waiting 2 weeks to turn the timesheets in and then them waiting 2 weeks to get paid, because some of them had to wait almost 4 weeks. What she and June Butler are proposing to do this time next year is that we would have some cards, bank cards that we can give them. There would be like $50 on that bank card, which would initially get them through until their paycheck comes in. And then we would probably be able to do it on a more regular basis. They wouldn't have to wait that long.
Well, but I mean, some of them had to. They thought they were going to go to work the first day, and by the time we got it all they didn't go to work for like 2 or 3 weeks after the program started. Those are the kids I'm concerned about.
Bill, we had 426, and I have no idea which ones you're talking about. And I don't know that my counselors would either unless they came in and talked to them.
Okay?
It's going to be difficult to go through there and figure that all out because we've already terminated all those applications. Because if we set them back up for anything, we'd have to go back in there and redo the whole application. Larry Ketcher is the person who was in charge of it, and I guess you all know that he's been out for a while, and we've had other people trying to get that paperwork done so that we could get it done by September 30th. I understand where you're coming from, but if it's possible, we'll go back and do what we can, but I don't know that we would have that information.
I can give you a couple names, but that's not quite fair either.
No, it's not, when there's 426 of them.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Ms. Kelly?
I'd just like to say thanks to you council members that went on the trip to the Taro meeting. Thank you.
Next, Commerce, Ann and I.
Not Anna. Sorry to disappoint you.
So it's good to have you, Shay.
Thank you. I'm Shay Smith. Anna Knight is in a meeting in Oklahoma City this afternoon, so she wasn't able to be here. You should all have a copy of our monthly report in front of you. And I also wanted to pass out, there's just a brief summary report on our loan loss reserve. I believe Councilwoman Jordan had some questions about the bad debt expense and loan loss reserve account for the loan programs that came up maybe during executive finance. So there's a brief summary there. Are there any questions I can address?
Are we currently?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Jordan.
Have we currently written any off, or is this loan reserve that we established for future?
It's for future write-offs.
Okay.
That loan loss reserve it was actually a request so that in case we did happen to loan out all of our available funds, which isn't going to happen, it's just a pure cushion. And that's not a cash expense. Just because we write something off, we aren't, we're still collecting that debt. For 5 years, we attempt to collect the debt. And there's the last paragraph in that report kind of summarizes the last 3 years worth of write-offs, and it's less than $10,000.
And do you have a procedure where if you think it's a potential write-off, you will confer with our Attorney General's office to see if there's any collection efforts possible?
We actually have I'm sorry to interrupt, go ahead.
That we might be able to use.
We actually have a full-time collections person who, that's what she does. She's dedicated to collecting debt. The only thing we turn over to the Attorney General's office is if we're actually going to foreclose or repossess collateral. Okay.
Mr. Buster.
Shay, I have a question on number 6 on this report right here.
Yes.
You're familiar with it. But is that telling me that we have all the $50 left over this year? And if we do, are there going to be carryover dollars or not?
All of those loan funds, are you talking about the available loan funds?
Yes.
Yes, all of those are carried over.
Those are carried, and this is what we have for this remainder of this year.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
For
you.
the loan program, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Smith? Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next are consent items. We have the first is the Taro certifications, which are in your packet. Do I hear
Move to approve as reported.
Do I hear a second? Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next are roads.
Mr. Chairman, the road list was slightly amended this month. They're down at the bottom of the report. All of the following projects were contributed 50-50 by both councilors within District 2 and District 5. Salem Church and Cemetery Road and parking, Mr. Crittenden, Ms. Fishenhawk, $14,226 each. Smith Phillips addition, same councilors, $27,900 each. Fairfield Housing Addition, same counselors, $18,480 each, and that will deplete Mr. Crittenden and Ms. Fishenhock's motor fuel balance. Mr. Snell, Mr. Buzzard, $1,800 each for the Ag Street Low Water Bridge project. Ms. Fulbright, $30,496 to both projects, Mike Waters Road and Fellowship Church Road. And Ms. Fulbright, that will deplete your motor fuel balance. The Motor Vehicle Tax Fund has one large project that Mr. Crittenden and Ms. Fishenhock are depleting their vehicle tax fund at $88,950 each for the Salem Road Phase 2. Special bridge funding project, $7,500 each. Project Mike Waters and Fellowship Church, Ms. Fulbright as well, and that will deplete her bridge funds. There was a reprogramming of a previous authorized Cherokee County Fairground project from Ms. Jordan and Mr. Baker, and a portion of those funds have been reprogrammed to a street project, $14,500 each in Culver. And that completes the road consents for this month.
Any questions or discussion on the roads? We'll hear a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Make a motion to approve.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next is community assistance. We have a
Hot off the press.
And I believe Mr. Evans has a...
Yeah, this is, there's so many on this month that if you turn back starting on page 3, you'll notice all the highlighted rows of the report. There's several additions to the one that was out in the packet, as well as some that came in today. Mr. Chairman, at your pleasure, I can go over them or allow the body to review them. Doesn't matter what.
We'll let them review them.
Okay.
Are there any questions about any of them?
I'll make a motion to pass it.
Okay, motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next are the law enforcement requests.
There were 3 items on the law enforcement report that went out in the packets. In addition to those is Town of Marble City, Mr. Thornton, Ms. Fulbright, $23.80 each to deplete the balance. City of Owasso, $39.70, as well as City of Skiatook, Mr. England, to deplete his balance. Adair Police Department, Mr. Soap, $39.30 to deplete his balance. And South Coffeyville, Mr. Hoskin, deplete his balance for $34.50. Those are in addition to the District 1 contributions that depleted their balance for Cherokee County Sheriff, Holbrook Police, and Tahlequah Police.
Any questions? I'd entertain a motion for their approval.
Make a motion.
Good. Here a second? Okay. See what you want.
Oh, is this mine?
Ms. Fishenhock.
Okay. On the 704 for Proctor Cemetery, for the veterans.
Okay, you're looking in the book, right? Confirm, now some of those have, I think you had 1 or 2 that had some numbers change, right?
Well, it's not changed on this either.
Is it not?
I think it is.
Okay, that's what Gail, I think, says she was waiting to hear back, wasn't it?
No,
Excuse me, are you,
no, it's just wrong.
excuse me, are you back on community assistance?
Yeah.
Oh,
Those have all been approved.
they've already been approved, but do we need to make changes?
Mr. Chairman, there was a couple of corrections we need to make on there, and we approved them before I was comparing lists, and it happened before we got somebody pulled the trigger too fast.
Okay. And I will entertain a motion that it be revised.
Can we still revise it?
As soon as y'all say yes.
Okay.
Vote yes.
So, all in favor of revising? Aye. Okay, and now we'll hear the revisions.
Okay, Proctor, where it says 704, Doug, instead of saying 704 all on Joe's, it needs to say 1,000 piece on both of us.
Proctor Cemetery,
Mm-hmm.
instead of 704, it needs to say
1,000 both on Joe and I.
1,000 each.
Okay, and then where it says Bell Community Organization and the Progressive Cherokee Organization, I'm saying two different people from the same community submitted applications and they wasn't supposed to. So the Progressive needs 500 apiece, just like it says, but down here where it says Bell Community Organization, where it says 750 apiece, can you please change that to 250 apiece?
Okay.
And then Fairfield has been corrected. And is that it, Joe?
I think that's all.
Okay.
Take 750 down to 250 each on Bell and
Community, yes.
the Bell Community Organization, right? Previous 1,500,
Yeah,
750 each, down to 250 each, and 1,000 each instead of the 704 on Proctor Cemetery.
Yeah, and then there was something wrong with Fairfield, and I think Gail corrected that one.
Okay, that's what I was referring to. Okay.
That one's been corrected.
Okay, Ms. Jordan.
On the one that says Tahlequah Public Schools, over here in the description of the request, it needs to say the Indian Education Program / School Supply Pantry.
Okay, Mr. England.
Thank you, Mr. Doug, on the remaining balance of mine, I'd like to put that toward the Victory Cherokee Organization of Collinsville, toward their septic system for the new community.
Victory Cherokee Organization, 2224. Assistance with septic system.
Okay. Dr. Cobb.
I want to point out, we will have one more finance committee in the month of September. These don't go to, these funds have already been appropriated, so this is just a consent list, so we will have one more shot at this before the year ends.
Okay. Are there any other corrections or additions to community assistance?
I've got one, but I don't know how it could be fixed. Gail made me aware of this a few minutes ago. I have given $3,000 to one organization, which I only intended to give $1,000 to them, and I really don't know if it's between me and David miscommunication or what, because way early on, I gave the Belfont and I Cut Sneaky building $1,000. And then when I went back over there recently and the roof was leaking, I called David and he said, well, I've already given them $2,500 for the heat and air, but we gave another $1,000 apiece. And then when I looked back up here, when he gave them $2,500, it was him giving $1,000 and $250 from Joe Crittenden and $425 from Jody Fishenhoff and $825 from me. And you see that, David? And well, I wound up giving them $2,825 when I only intended to give them the $2,000, and I don't know. But see, he and I both spent all of our money, so I guess they wound up getting a little bit more than they're supposed to.
Was that in this month, or was that previous month?
Previous.
Okay.
Last check was June 26th, and that check has been cut, already mailed.
So I don't know how any of them could be solved, but I guess we're going to have to communicate more closely with our secretary.
Okay. Any other additions or corrections? And I'll entertain a motion for the approved revised list.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And we had a motion to approve the law enforcement request by Mr. Thorne. And I was waiting for a second. Okay. Mr. Sullivan seconded. Is there any discussion on the law enforcement request? Any discussions or questions on law enforcement? Yes, Mr. Baker. A request. Okay. Well, there's no changes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next are the cemetery restoration assistance applications.
There were 3 in the packet, Mr. Chairman, one for Trail of Tears, Ryder Family Cemetery. Sequoia County had Belfont Cemetery and Rowland Cemetery. And there's one addition that got their paperwork in, if you want to consider it, it's the Old Green Cemetery of Adair County.
I'll entertain a motion to add Green Cemetery to our list.
I make that.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any other additions to our list? I'd entertain a motion for the approval of those 4 cemeteries. Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Next item is old business, and the item is district community meetings.
Oh, was that you? Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's the guidelines for district community meetings using Cherokee Nation funds.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, based on last month's meeting, I took the comments and incorporated some of them into a revised guidelines. Again, I would state that these guidelines would be better used if as broad as possible. The changes that are in this document is that to accommodate staggered terms, rule number 4 or guideline number 4, it says in districts in which there is an election, community meetings using these funds shall not be held after January 1st of any election year until said election cycle is completed, which differentiates that, only in those districts in which there are elections. Also, to accommodate the at-large councilors, guidelines 3 and 4 would not. I could not figure out a way to make them apply, so it would be my suggestion that guidelines 3 and 4 not apply. And the reason being is that guideline 3 is community meetings must be held within the district in which the councilor is seated. Well, at-large, by its definition, has no district, so you would automatically disqualify them all the way around. And we have the annual picnics, and because there are no districts, number 4, because there's no district boundaries, number 4 wouldn't apply because there's always going to be an election in the at-large area, because one of those two are always going to have, an election. So therefore, it'd be my suggestion that guidelines 3 and 4 not apply, but that the rest of them stay as presented, and I would entertain any questions for that.
Mr. Austin.
Councilman Bill John Baker had raised this last time, and it looks like it still is a problem for the District 1, where he may want to Is that right, Bill? You may use a facility that's in Tina's district and it wouldn't be in your district technically. That remains a problem. And I just wonder if we could just make an exemption for, just expressly exemption for that district. Seems to be the only district where we cut a big town down the middle. So I just, as a practical matter, it seemed like it was a legitimate concern last time.
Like the so-called community building won't be in my district, although it'll be in Cumberland. And that's
Mr. Baker, there's got to be bright lines in there somewhere. You're either District 1 or District... Well, and I say that in jest, but in all actuality, you know, if you say, it gets cumbersome if you say within a mile of your boundaries, back and forth, vice versa. If it's the will of the county...
within the county of your district.
Well, then, you know... Then you could get into a politicization of this, and what I'm trying to do is completely depoliticize it. All right. Let's say that council. Let's take Cherokee County. Let's say that in the future, counselor of the counselor from District 1 is at odds than counselor of District 2. All right. Well, counselor District 2. Let's say that's their election year. They can't have a district meeting, but District 1, who doesn't like counselor in District 2, goes over and has one. And, you know, whether it's soft politicking or not, I mean, the potential for abuse is there. So if in order to completely depoliticize such things, I left it as bright line deals. I mean, but at any rate, what is the will of the committee?
Now, you can't tell me that 2 blocks is going to make a difference. Other than that's the only place in the county that there's a building of any capacity.
Some cities are divided by country boundaries, you know, I mean, but it is what it is. You know, and I'm not arguing with you. If you guys want to make that rule for District 1, or you want to make it a general rule within 5, 10, 1 miles of your district boundaries, so be it. But, you know, that's, would be my advice to keep it as just...
Okay, Mr. Thorne.
This isn't on this subject, but anyway, I'm having kind of a problem coping with this deal with the at-large council members, and they're having their hog fries. I don't have a problem with them having their hog fries, but my problem is that if we seek help from our people, then our people have to take annual leave or sick leave to come and help us. But we can take 10 people and go somewhere outside the district and pay them, and they get paid for being outside the district, and they get paid for doing the hog fry, and they get put up, and all their expenses are paid going out there and coming back. And our people have to take annual leave right here inside the districts. I think we need to either, when it comes time, to add some funding so that the people that help us, that work for the nation, will get paid for helping us. And I think there's some way we need to put that in. I don't know how to get worded, but we need to think about that and get that done. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move to approve, as Mr. Hembry has recommended, with the exception of what Mr. Thornton, Councilman Thornton, just spoke about. Because I agree, if it's good for the at-large, then it's good for us. And there's people up north that are treated almost like at-large people and try to know they exist either. So I'd recommend that we exclude that part about that they can't be paid to attend our community meetings as employees, because I think as staff, that's part of their outreach. So.
Well, you know, maybe the same cooks that went out to California would cook for us, but they got paid going out there and they didn't get paid when they come cook for us. You know, and I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see why we couldn't.
Okay, well, the motion's been made.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion is made and seconded. Now discussion. Dr. Cox.
Speak?
Yes.
it was pointed out at a board meeting that we had earlier of the community association, so I want to clarify a misconception here that the employees of the Cherokee Nation were paid to produce these hog pies. They were not. It was all done on a voluntary basis, according to what was stated at the board meeting this morning. Now, their lodging, et cetera, was paid, clearly, but they were not directly paid for their services. They all did it on a voluntary basis. And I think it's just reasonable when people are going out to California for something, employees of the Cherokee Nation, that they don't have to pay their lodging. I would object to a proposition by this body that the at-large district, or non-district as it may be, is treated exactly the same way as the districts in boundary, because it is a qualitatively different situation. I would, however, agree with Ms. Watt's assertion that if they are traveling far enough that it requires an overnight stay or something like that, that in that case, it is reasonable that be covered and compensated. But I did want to just clear up the misconception that the employees from the Cherokee Nation who went out to California for the hog fries were paid to do so, because they were not. They all did it on a voluntary basis.
Ms. Jordan.
I would ask for a friendly amendment to be considered to number 3. I would ask that the friendly amendment be that when just continue that sentence, except when no appropriate facility exists for such meeting could be held within 2 miles of your district line.
Okay. Yes.
I'm happy to consider that, but only if I get clarification on something. How do you define appropriate, and who determines that?
I'm just thinking size is all I'm thinking. We only have 1 or 2 big buildings in this whole county.
There's both on your side of the line.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. But but I understand its dilemma.
I'm trying to make this as clear as possible, because I don't want this to be used as a tool to bash other counselors in the future, okay?
Well, and we could put, and no bashing to it.
Well, I guess on a couple of deals. First, as to the employees, anytime you're going to get into the slippery slope of having employees come in on the Cherokee Nation dime to do these community meetings, you're going to get criticism, and there's going to be the perception or accusations of favoritism on, well, the chief allowed these many people to go to my community meeting, but they only let X amount or lesser amount go to another community meeting. I am of the opinion that these meetings, you have passed a fund to help you have these meetings that you've already had, and that any if you want to pay someone to do your hog fry, you do it out of these funds, but you don't do it as a Cherokee Nation employee and get paid money to do that. You can take X amount of dollars out of these funds to hire a cook. That's fine, but they not be a Cherokee Nation employee when they do it. Also, as to the appropriate, unless there's an appropriate building that's in the district. Well, for instance, let's say in a future district, Mr. Baker determines, or whoever's in District 1 determines that, well, there's no appropriate building in here, so I'm going to use the community building. And then his opponents, or her opponents in the future, come and say, well, there's the VFW hall here, there's a net building here, there's another VFW hall here. There was, and he misused funds. And the headline is, he misused funds. So that's what I'm trying to hedge against, that type of situation.
Are we still on my friendly amendment?
Yes.
Kara, would you consider, and that it must be no appropriate building of sufficient size. And then we also add, such meeting site must be approved by the city councilor in that receiving district. I think that takes care of both of his concerns.
I would accept it if it's approved by the a majority of the council at I guess E&F, where this budget resides. And my second said yes.
Okay. Mr. Thorne?
Oh, I want to get back on the other subject. My sources tell me that if they take off right now and help us, that they have to take annual leave or sick leave. These people that went out to do these other hog fries outside the nation did not take annual leave, they did not take sick leave. There was a budget set aside that they were paid out of, from what I understand. And I guess I'll look to find that budget. But I understand that they did get paid, it's out of the Cherokee Nation budget. May not have been out of the payroll budget, but they did get paid.
And this is...
So that's what we need to do.
Right, and you can.
Set aside. Okay.
You know, this is just the equivalent of the at-large picnics. That's the whole reason. You can take $500 or whatever. I don't want to set a price for a hog frying, but you know, whatever the, you know, if a person does need to be compensated, that is a legitimate expense of you holding a community building.
This would start though after the next budget period, right?
Yeah, well, that's next month. Oh well, October.
Yeah.
Ms. Fulbright?
I'm relating back to David's question. I'm still not clear. People went to California and they were paid by that community organization to do the hog fry. Is that what you're saying?
They were not paid.
They were not paid. Okay. Well, did they go ahead and receive their regular salary as if they were working at the complex when they were actually in California?
They may have, but again, I'm sorry if I'm responding out of order, but again, I would make the point that this is a 3 days journey away, right? It's not 2 hours away, which is 2 or 2.5 hours, which is the furthest amount of time anybody in the Cherokee Nation would travel within boundary. And for that reason, I don't think we should qualitatively be treating the at-large non-district the same as the in-boundary districts, perhaps on these kinds of points. That would be my personal opinion on that, because when you get down to that, then you're actually penalizing employees for providing a service to the 62% of the population, right, of our citizenry that is out of boundary. So I think we have to get out of the frame of mind that there has to be an exact equivalency here, because they are very, very different situations. That's the only point.
Ms. Ketchum, did you have a clarification? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just going to offer that I can run some reports and find the answers for you. I don't know off the top of my head who even went to the picnics in California, but I can run a report if you would like and get that information for you. It is a little bit different, as Julia said, going to California versus an evening in Tahlequah. I do know that some of the people who went to California are exempt employees, and so they weren't paid overtime, and it would be the same thing. If we had a local community meeting, if they're exempt employees, they're going to be paid regardless if they work 8 hours or if they work 20 hours that day. So.
Mr. Henry, yeah.
And also, I think we also need to make sure we have the distinction that if coming to one of these in jurisdiction community meetings, there is the Cherokee people or the health people or the education people who come up and set up booths, etc. Well, that is their job, and they will be paid for that. I mean, that is part of their job description, and they will get their hours for that. I think what we're talking about is people who just show up to, well, maybe eat, cook, clean the tables, that kind of stuff. But if you're there conducting, business in relation to your department, I don't think there's any question that those people get paid.
Mr. Crittenden.
Jody and I are thinking about having a joint meeting, somewhat like Bill, John, and Dinah did. Now, since we're going to be expending funds, are we going to have to find a building that straddles our district boundaries, and or just that oak tree and this oak tree here where we can holler back and forth?
Just one of you pick it, okay? I mean, don't make things hard. One of you host it, and also you got to understand that the districts don't get divided until 2011. Okay, at that point, by golly, you have one in the north end and she has one in the south end.
Follow up.
Okay. Yes.
Todd, and by the way, just for information, we can have one. Ours have to be north of Highway 51 because we both live north of 51. So,
that's right.
So we can have it anywhere we want to. And
you guys can run against each other in 2011, but right now that's not a concern.
All right. Okay. I need to know that.
Until 2011.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Baker.
And he kind of hit on it. I can maybe understand your reasoning in an election year. But the other 3 years where I'm sure that Harley and Curtis are going to continue to have joint meetings. I don't know whose district we went to. Whose district were we in, Harley? Curtis. And you guys shared it, and people came from both sides of the line, and it made sense rather than having 2 separate ones. It makes sense in Cherokee County to have a big one instead of 2 small ones. It makes sense in Adair County. I don't know if it makes sense in Tulsa County or not. I'm assuming it might. And yet you're wanting to say that we can't make our dollars go further and pick a building on one side of the line or the other because you want them. I don't understand what you're trying to do. Are you trying to get information out to the Cherokee people and get them together, or are you trying to penalize somebody that has a district that the community meeting that has been traditional for the last 40 years that he can't use? Give me a break here, folks. The people are used to coming to that location. It also means that Tina cannot use the Cherokee, any of the Cherokee complex, because she's crossed the line. And so she can't use the ceremonial grounds if she wants to host something there. I assume that, I think we're nitpicking this deal, and I disagree wholeheartedly with Todd that having a community meeting at a central location within the town that you live is crossing the line. And they're used to coming there, and it's traditionally been that way.
And I understand. May I, Mr. Chair? Oh, sorry.
I'd like to remind people we have a special council meeting in 20 minutes, but I have 3 other people.
I think the body won't object.
I'll recognize Ms. Watts.
So the second and I have agreed that we will remove any geographical requirement at this time, be determined later, so that this can conclude. But I think the other requirements need to move forward, so we can all expend money and get people out to the communities.
Have them where you want them.
So you can have them where you want them. It affects how you might get elected later. We don't care.
Can we do it
Dr.
later?
Cobb.
I do have a comment for Todd, or a question. Buell and I got drugged down here to the election commission with an attorney because we think the only community building we could find in Collinsville that was big enough to hold a meeting, and it happened to be at a bank, and there was no money exchange. We didn't accept, we didn't do anything, and we just thanked the bank and had to come down here with an attorney to show that we didn't, my question is going to be, is any of that going to apply? Let's say you're in a community and the largest place you can find in the community happens to be in a bank or something.
Well,
are you?
Well, this.
I'm just bringing it up now.
This does not change any of the election law. funds, okay? And by the guidelines in the district in which there is an election, after the first of the year, you can't expend these funds on a community meeting. So therefore, any community meeting you have during the election year is going to have to, well, number one, not be paid by Cherokee Nation money, but you still have to comply with all the in-kind contribution requirements that the election code has. So that's not going to fix your problem.
Just bring it up now.
Mr. Thorne.
I'd like to table this until next month.
Okay. Motion is made to table. Motion is made and seconded. All in favor of tabling, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item.
Mr. Chair, I'd
Yes.
like to move to approve with the addition of the 5 budgets that Callie brought forward in writing in front of you.
Second.
Any discussion?
I got a question.
Yes, Ms. Fisher.
I closed my book too soon. There's a thing at the bottom where somebody's requesting additional funds, but their budget's already got how much in it?
It's a budget was showing $175,000 balance.
And they're uncovered and they're requesting more money?
And basically that's, Laura tracks it by project, so that was for a specific project.
So they really don't need much.
I'm not sure, I haven't looked at the reports. I mean, basically,
You
if we,
look at it for me.
Comment on that, Laura?
So in that budget, there's a lot of activities in it, which means I have like 7 or 8 properties, all funded from that. When we start working on one property as a project, I submit a budget on what I think it's going to cost to renovate or whatever we're doing to the property, and then I submit it. I may submit several budget mods at one time for approval for different projects under that budget. It's just not one purpose. And that one budget was submitted for the Cotulla Street duplexes, for the renovation and the furnishing of the appliances completely of the 4 duplexes. That's what that one was for.
Okay.
I realize they're not going to expend it nonetheless, but this close to election year, but I was just confused on why we had one.
It would be very difficult to obligate the funds that are being requested in here. However, this is general fund. If you fund it and they don't spend it, it goes back into the coffer. If you don't fund it and they spend it, what you didn't appropriate goes back in the coffer. It has no effect. If the projects need the funding, then it's a timing issue is all it is. I just wanted to point out in my memo the importance that this is a grossly underspent budget that's asking for more money right at the end of the year.
Okay. That's what I was curious about.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion
And everyone should have their budget review book on their desk if you aren't already aware.
All in favor of returning say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Laura.
We're adjourned.
With the consent of the host counselor, you can have it with him. No, that's fine.
That way it keeps it from
Yeah.
being a problem.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have trouble